What a day. What a day. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy Hritz here. Courage pays better than fear trading. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a tremendous week, and what a start to the month of November in the markets. And lots of weakness out there. And today was very, very red. It was looking pretty treacherous out there. At one point, the SPX being down over 85 points, and it looked like it was going to continue to drop. And across the board, you saw NVIDIA drop, and really all the Mag 9 coming down. All other stocks that really have been beaten up, because it's really been the Mag 9 that's been running this thing, they were going down even further. Bitcoin was down, the crypto space, everything. But then around 12:30, 1 o'clock, we finally saw some buyers come in. And as the market headed into close, we actually finished green today. The SPX was up about 8 points. And for the first time since April, and it wasn't a lot, it dropped 4%. So we had a 4% pullback on the SPX. It dipped below the 50-day simple moving average, which hasn't happened in quite some time. And that close that we got is a hammer candle that wicks below the 50. So the bulls stepped in and defended it, and it's a promising sign for the bulls. Not out of the woods yet by any stretch, but a good show of force by the bulls at support. Now we head over to the Qs. The Qs had an even deeper drop. Wick below the 50, got bought back up pretty hard. Huge lower wick below that 50. And the Qs actually dropped total from peak to trough 6%, which hasn't happened since April. So we got a 6% dip on the Qs, biggest since April. We got a 4% drop on the SPX, biggest since April. And we saw the VIX, which was popping, just drop significantly toward the end of the day. So right now, things are set up for the bulls to push this back up. But again, we are not out of the woods, and the pressures that still are pushing down on this market, government shutdown, December rate cut, the AI bubble, extreme valuations, those are still on the table. But the valuation component being that we have had a minor pullback, you can't call it a correction because it wasn't 10%, but you had some pressure to the downside. You had some selling. The fact that we got that, could that be enough for the buyers to now step back in and to push this thing back up to new all-time highs? We don't know. The biggest catalyst that we need to be ready for and to watch to see if we get news about this over the weekend is whether or not these freaking politicians can reach some type of damn agreement. At what point in time can we just work together and see the humanity in each other and find a freaking common ground and end this nonsense? Just get it done, because it's hurting everyday Americans. And you get into the impact that it's been having on air travel as we're getting ready to come up on the first holiday, Thanksgiving, and then you have Christmas, and you have these people who aren't getting paid. It's impacting people. It's impacting lives, and we need to see that end. It's got to come to a close. So hopefully progress can be made, a deal can be done, stock market aside, just to benefit the American population. And the side effect of that would be renewed buying, renewed optimism in the markets. So head on a swivel still. We can wake up Monday and there's negative news. There's not going to be a deal that's done, that the sides are further away than ever. And here's the thing, the longer this goes on, and let's say that it presses into the holidays, into Thanksgiving, you could see some really wicked selling. You want to talk about pressure, it's just going to be intense. And so I think that that's enough motivation across the board that they got to get it done. They got to get it done. So anyway, let's move away from that. And let's talk about two earnings reports that came yesterday that I did videos on. The Trade Desk, which popped initially into, I think, 52, was looking promising, but you know how earnings work. Boom, got smashed down. I think it got down below 39 into the 38s, which, again, if you watch the video, that's what I believe would happen just from a technical level. And then it rebounded after hours. It got up to 48, and then this morning sold back down. But it did make a kind of a recovery here at the end of the day and ended up closing in the $43 range. And so that thing is still struggling. It's probably going to chop around a little bit, but that stock has been beat up. So I'm watching it to add some more shares to a position that I have. And I believe in this company. I think that it has just a great business model, super profitable. They beat their earnings numbers, and so let's see what happens with them. And then you had SoundHound, who reported earnings too, and they got down, pushed back up, and then they sold off today like everything else. And really heading into yesterday, into those earnings reports, it's so hard when sentiment is so bearish for a company to have a good move off of earnings. And it's almost like if you're going into your earnings call and the sentiment is sour, you know that the reaction is not going to be good unless you have like an NVIDIA moment where you're perfect, you hang the moon, and that really didn't happen for either of them. So, you know, we'll see what these companies can do. We're going to have to get the positive bullish sentiment back into markets for them to lift. But now we're at an inflection point in the markets. First week of November historically has been the strongest week of the month. We didn't see that. We did not see that. And we'll see what happens from here. And if we can see follow through from the bulls, if maybe that was it, that was the weakness that we saw, and now it's time for the year-end rally, because as I've been talking about on the episodes of Driven here, that we've flown in the face of seasonality all year, and we flew in the face of seasonality this week because of the strength that we had in August, September, and October. So that best week was a pretty poor week for the bulls. And maybe that's enough for people to say, you know what, that was enough. It's time to get back in and to push this thing back up into 7,000, 7,100, and then we'll see what happens from there. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, just in terms of the headlines that we get surrounding the shutdown. We'll see what happens there. So it's going to be fun to see how it all unfolds. And next week should be a doozy. So I'm definitely excited for it. Anyway, don't forget, I am teaching my free trading psychology class. It's going to kick off on Thursday of next week, November 13th. I hope you will join me for that. I will put the registration link in the description of this video. So please click that link, sign up. I would love to have you join me. I will have a preview video on Sunday. And in the meantime, in between time, to everybody out there in this wonderful world, you know what I'm going to say. Make it a great day. Have a tremendous weekend. And as always, honor the moment. Take care, everyone.